Hey everybody, welcome back to the channel. In today's episode, we have something very special because we are going to meet a soon-to-be saint. That's right. In September 7th, 2025, Pope Leo XIV is planning to make him a saint. And if you don't know the story of Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, you are in for a treat. He was an Italian man from the early 20th century who became known as the man of the Beatitudes. This young man was so joyful and full of faith that even after he died at age 24, people continued to see him in visions and miracles. So we are so happy to tell you his story today on his feast day, which is on July 4th. And now let's go to the mountains and start our Catechism for Kids Adventure. Now, Pier Giorgio was born in Italy in April 6, 1901, and from a young age, he had a deep love for Jesus, for nature, and for the mountains. Despite being raised by agnostic parents, Frassati's inclinations to help others manifested in his childhood. Once, as a child, he answered the door to find a mother begging with her son, who was shoeless. He took off his own shoes and gave them to the child. At an early age, he joined the Marian sodality and the apostleship of prayer and obtained permission to receive daily communion, which was rare at the time. At the same time, he was known among his friends as Il Terror, or the Terror, due to his fondness for practical jokes. At 17, he joined the St. Vincent de Paul Society and dedicated much of his spare time taking care of the poor, homeless, the sick, and the demobilized servicemen returning from World War I in 1919. Frassati joined the Catholic Student Foundation and the Popular Party. His principles were based in the social doctrine of the Church. He strongly opposed the rise of fascist leader Benito Mussolini and was jailed in Rome after joining the protest of the Catholic Workers' Association. He became notable for giving literally everything he had to the poor. He would even use his bus fare for charity and then run home to be on time for meals. An avid and accomplished mountain climber, he saw many parallels between Catholic life and his favorite pastime. He would regularly organize trips into the mountains, with occasions for prayers and conversations about faith on the way up or down from the summit. After what would become his final climb, he wrote a simple note on a photograph: Verso El Alto, or to the heights, a phrase that has become a popular Catholic motto. At 24, Frassati became very ill with polio. Some of his friends believed that he contracted the disease from the people in the slums of Turin. In his last days, he whispered the names of people who still needed assistance to his family and friends who gathered at his bedside. He died on July 4, 1925. Pier Giorgio Frassati was declared blessed in 1990 by Pope John Paul II, who called him a man of the Beatitudes and a joyful apostle of Christ. A year before, after visiting his tomb, John Paul II revealed that he also had felt in his own youth the beneficial influence of his example. He left the world rather young, he said, but he made a mark upon our entire century. In her biography of her brother, Frassati's sister Luciana wrote that he represented the finest in Christian youth, pure, happy, enthusiastic about everything that is good and beautiful. Pier Giorgio Frassati's popularity is big among young people, especially in America. Many apostolates have been created with his name, and he is regarded as the patron of students, mainly because he wasn't good at school. Young Catholics, mountaineers, youth groups, Catholic Action, Dominican Tertiaries, and World Youth Day. He showed us that being a saint doesn't mean being boring. It means living life fully for God and others. Now, after he died, many people began to talk about his life and his teachings and his example. They saw him as a role model for young people who wanted to live holy lives without being afraid of anything. They called him the man of the Beatitudes because he embodied the spirit of Jesus' teachings, and he showed that. Holiness is not a goal that is far away from us. It's a way of life that is available to everyone who believes in Jesus and wants to follow him. So now, he's not only loved by people when he was alive, but also after his death. Late Pope Francis had said that he admires Pier Giorgio, and he had asked young people to follow his example. One of the things that I really like about Pier Giorgio is that he was a man of action. He didn't just sit around and pray all day. He went out into the world and did something for others. He was a man who climbed mountains and loved the outdoors. He was a man who worked for the poor and the sick and the lonely. He was a man who lived the Beatitudes. And he showed us that we can be saints by being active and generous and courageous. We don't have to be afraid of anything if we believe in Jesus. Another thing that I really like about Pier Giorgio is that he was a man of joy. He didn't let his problems or his worries or his fears define him. He always saw the good in people and in situations, and he always tried to make others happy. He was a man who smiled a lot and laughed a lot and danced a lot. He was a man who loved life and who loved God and who loved the mountains. He was a man who showed us that holiness is not a path that leads to sadness and gloom. It's a path that leads to happiness and light and peace. I think that Pier Giorgio is a great example for us today, because we live in a world that tells us that being holy is not cool or attractive or fun. But he showed us that we can be brave and generous and joyful and still walk the path to heaven. He showed us that we can be saints. And that's why I think he's a great role model for kids and teens who want to follow Jesus and do something for him. He showed us that we don't have to be afraid of anything if we believe in Jesus. He showed us that we can be joyful even in hard times. He showed us that we can help others and make them happy. He showed us that we can live holy lives without being boring or afraid or sad. He showed us that we can be saints. Blessed Pier Giorgio Frassati, pray for us. Thanks for watching this special episode of Catechism for Kids. If you liked it, please give us a thumbs up and share it with your friends. And don't forget to subscribe so you never miss any of our videos.